I'm creating a new Angular CLI project to prove that what you're about to see is Angular's default behavior. This is version 7.2.1. And let's serve it to make sure it's working. Great. So we'll do this just in the app component. I'm going to create a button and register a click event handler to a no-op function. Then I'll create a div which will output a variable called count. Count will be a getter like this. My first question to you is, when we load up our new app, what is the div going to display? Most people I ask answer 0, which is understandable because there's a lot going on. But if you've had your coffee and are really paying attention, you might say 1 because the getter has to be called at least once and we're incrementing the counter before we return it. Let's see what the real answer is.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Second question. When I click the button, what effect will that have on count? If you said none, because I've done nothing to couple them whatsoever, then congratulations, you're a sane, rational person. Let's find out.
You want my head to explode?
This is an issue with Angular's view rendering that plagues a lot of people. And the explanation for what's going on comes straight from their documentation. Angular executes template expressions after every change detection cycle. Change detection cycles are triggered by many asynchronous activities such as promise resolutions, HTTP results, timer events, key presses, and mouse moves. The Angular documentation shows you how cool its view interpolation is, but it has no disclaimer saying that your interpolated values are going to be recomputed countless times when you don't want them to be. I want to stress that this is an issue that's not limited to event handlers and computations that are in the same component. If one component registers an event handler, then interpolated values in other components will still be recomputed when that event fires. And you might ask if this is really so bad. I mean, modern CPUs are crazy fast, and we're doing really simple computations in our views usually. The point is that your view is being re-rendered, and except in very special cases, that's always the most expensive operation in a front-end app. Believe it or not, things actually get catastrophically worse if you're using ngrx. This is because with ngrx, your entire state is kept in one immutable object. And because of this, you're probably using Angular's on-push change detection strategy, because that's supposed to make things faster, right? Well, it can, because it tells Angular to only test reference bindings instead of values to see if an input has changed. But because your whole state is kept in the same object, and because that object is immutable, then every time there's a state change, your reducer creates a brand new object. This changes the references for every single possible input binding across your entire app. That means that a state change that needs only affect a single component will trigger change detection across your entire app. And in many cases, we've actually seen components re-render thousands of times until this nightmare effect finally stops and Angular realizes it doesn't need to update various views anymore.
What am I gonna do?
The solution is simple, but for some of you it might feel like your favorite toy is being taken away. Also, if you're plagued by performance problems on an existing Angular project, this pill might be a bit hard to swallow because early design decisions are coming back to bite you. 1. Don't put any kind of computations in your view, ever. Here's some examples of the type of thing that's extremely common to see in Angular projects that you need to avoid like the plague.
You fucking crazy, man. You sound insane. Do you realize that?
2. Use onPush so that Angular will only update when reference bindings change. 3. Avoid using ngClass. Favor the class directive instead. When using ngClass, you need to pass it an object literal, which creates a new variable that Angular will need to check. With the class directive coupled with onPush, Angular only checks reference bindings before any updates to the view, and so if those bindings haven't changed, your view won't be updated. 4. Perform any component-specific computations in ngOnChanges. This lifecycle hook is called when Angular detects that an input is changed, and if you're using onPush, that means when a reference binding is changed. So when this method is called, you know that your view is going to be updated no matter what. It has detected a change. So you might as well just go ahead and update all of your computations. There's really no need to query the simple changes object unless it's to avoid a particularly expensive computation. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe, leave your comments down below, share on social media, and all that fun stuff. Until next time, this has been Speaking in Code, switching back to English.